Hello everyone, Mr. Wheeler here, and we are about to start our next video editing project. So before we go any further, let's take a look at what this project should look like once you're done.
So, I'm tired of being in my classroom, so I'm about to go somewhere else. Now I'm by the concession stand. I'm in Miss Key's room. Now I'm in the library. I'm in the commons area. Now I'm in Mr. Callahan's class. And now we close out in the green screen room. So from this point, everyone, fade to black, put your name in the titles at the end, and your video is done.
So as you can see, this is still a rather basic editing assignment. I'm giving you some old footage of me standing around the school clapping my hands, and you just need to cut the video on the clap so that every time I clap my hands it seems like I'm teleporting to a different location. And so that is one of the wonderful things about video editing, is that with the magic of video editing, all sorts of magical things can happen. So let's get our project set up and I'll show you how to do what I want you to do. The first thing we're going to do is start by clicking video. We're going to create a new video in the top left over here, and I'm going to save this as a project for myself. Now typically I've asked you to import video files to get going on your projects, but one of the things that I really like about this WeVideo app is that I can give you files that you can use. So if you go over here into the shared folder on the left hand side of your page, you will see lesson 1 clap edit, and once you open this folder, these are all the files you need in order to create your video. So the order in which you put these only matters a little bit. Obviously you need to start with this file because that's where this begins, the sequence begins, and then the sequence ends with this file. But all the other ones you can put in any order you want. Those don't really matter. All that really matters here is that you are being very precise on your editing. So let's begin by setting up a title card for myself. I'm going to use, I want something pretty simple. Let's use this one. Very simple. And I'm going to call this project Clap Edit. And I don't really like these colors, so I'm going to change this pink to purple. I'm going to change this yellow to green, and I'm going to change this yellow to blue, and this blue to orange. And I think that needs to be a bit bigger, so I'm going to increase the scale of my title and save, and then when I watch it, easy. Alright, so now the editing begins. In my media, under the shared folder, you see I've already given you all the files you need. So the first thing you'll do is take this beginning file and bring it in. Now you'll notice that this file is about 30 seconds long, well 34 seconds long, and it'll be very difficult for me to edit it at this point. So what you need to do, you need to go down to the bottom right of the screen, and at the bottom right of the screen you will see this little guy over here, and if you grab this and slide it to the right, you'll zoom in and you can see the numbers expanding at the top of the timeline here. So you can zoom in, and that way you'll be able to get more precise edits. So for this project you are going to do a lot of zooming in and out on the bottom here. So I need to find my beginning point. I do tell you where your project begins, so you need to find that point.
So when I'm finished talking right now, I'm going to clap, and then you're just going to edit me in different rooms, and that's the video. So I'm tired of being in my classroom, so I'm about to go somewhere else. I'm tired of being in my classroom. And that's the video.
Alright, so this is the point where I need to cut my video. So I'm going to cut over here. Notice I clicked on the scissors to cut it. And then I delete this. And then let me bring this all the way over. I'm going to zoom back out so it's easier to do. I'm going to bring this over to my title. Now let's take a look to see how this plays.
So, I'm tired of being in my classroom, so I'm about to go somewhere else.
Alright, so I think I cut it fairly well there. Now, did I say cutted it? I meant to say cut. Sheesh. Come on, Mr. Wheeler. So here's where it gets tricky. You need to cut this video exactly on that point where I clap my fingers. I'm going to make this a bit bigger. You can drag this window open a little bit more to get a bit more of a view. Also, if you click on this little arrow next to your three dots, it'll give you a different size. You can make this much smaller, or you can make this much bigger. And when you make this much bigger, look what happens. You get your audio along with your video. So now you can see where my hands clap. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more over here. So you see, if you really look in on the window, as my hands come to a point, you can see that my elbows bounce out a little bit. And that is from the impact. I don't know if you can see my elbows bouncing out a little bit. And then after that, if you look down to the audio, you can see it's fading out. And that tells me that is the point where I struck. So I can cut everything from there. And now that is my clap. And I'm going to appear somewhere else. So I'm just going to go around and grab another file. You can still look at the audio. You can see that there is a clap over here.
Now I'm by the concession stand.
And then I clap again. We just need to cut from the point where my hands strike each other, right at that point. And then I'm going to cut. So again, I'm clipping on my scissors. And I'm going to delete what happened before. And now there's a big gap here, so I'm going to drag this over. And let's see if this makes a smooth transition from one place to another.
Now I'm by the concession stand.
Alright, that seemed pretty smooth. Again, it's a little bit tricky when you have a slightly different soundscape around you, but it's doable. Now at this point, don't think that you're done, because you still need to make sure that when you go from one place to the other, it is seamless. So if you didn't cut your video just right, what you can do is just pull this out a little bit, and then if you click on the left hand clip, you can see that the left and right arrows open up. Click and drag to trim the beginning of the clip, and so you can actually move this up and down. Same goes for the other side. You can click over here, and then you can move this up and down. So don't just cut and put together and then move on to your next clip. You really need to sit and listen to it over and over again. You need to listen to it and make sure that you are getting that clap edit correct. Editing is all about finesse and paying attention to details. So you really need to make sure that you're doing those things. So again, notice that I am now at the end for the second clap, and I'm bringing my hands together. You can see there's that point where my elbows take the force. So I'm going to cut right at this point, and then I move on to my next one. I'm going to go to Miss Key's classroom. I'm going to cut ahead to once I've finished with my clap edits. You don't need to see me do this over and over again. I'm pretty sure that you get a good idea of what it is exactly that I'm doing. Alright, so as you can see, I have my titles and my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clips edited together, and I've got my credits at the end here. Now, I just have one more thing I wanted to show you, and then we are done with this assignment. You'll see at the end of this video, I'm asking you to fade out to black. So I'll show you how to do that. You double click on your video, and then when you go over to animation, you can change the fade. Now before I continue here, you have to set how long it needs to fade out from. So if you bring your playhead over to this point, you'll see this is at 34 seconds. And if you take it to the end, it is at 40 seconds. That means I'm looking for a 6-second fade from here all the way out. So what I can do is just in my head know that this is 6 seconds. So then I double click on my playhead, I check this fade box, and then I'm going to fade out for 6 seconds. Now please also note that this is fading both in and out, so you want to cut out the fade in, otherwise when you get to your last clap it is going to fade in and that will mess up what you're trying to do. But the fade out for 6 seconds is going to do just fine. And then I save this. So now let's take a look at what this looks like.
Fade to black, put your name in the titles at the end, and your video is done.
And there you go. That's your video. It should be around about 40 seconds or so. Now, before I leave you, it is of the utmost importance that you watch this over and over and over again with headphones on, because don't just visually look at where my hands are striking. That's a good place to start, but you really need to listen and make sure that it sounds like there's a clap and then I appear somewhere else. If you do not do that, you may run into a situation where you don't quite get your edit just right and you're going to hear 2 claps. And if I hear 2 claps, then you have not edited smoothly. The whole point of editing is to just have a smooth ride through the scene. So even once you think you're done, just rewatch and listen carefully and make sure that you have not inserted any double claps. It should be a smooth clap and then sharp cuts to each new position with a fade out at the end with your titles. I'm just going to finish my project now, and I'm going to call it clap edit. And I'm going to save it as HD, and I'm going to save it to my Google Drive, and now I'm going to export it, and I'm done with this project. And that's it, everyone. So I'm looking forward to seeing your project soon. Good luck.